Hello, dear children. Hope you are all back after your long holidays and welcome you all back to chemistry class. In our previous classes, we have learnt various experiments with respect to mass, shape, volume, and space occupied in case of solids, liquids, and gases. In continuation to that, in today's class, we are going to have a look at yet another important topic, that is interconversion of matter. We have already learned that matter exists in three different states. They are solid state, liquid state, and gaseous state. We have also seen how the particles are arranged in case of solids, liquids, and gases. Now, can you think of what happens when you heat a block of ice? Yes, we all know that as we heat ice, it turns into water. Now, what happens when you heat water? Water on heating, it starts boiling and then it turns into steam or water vapor. Now, the steam or water vapor, as it is cooled, it turns back into water. And we all know that water on cooling, it turns back into ice. So here what that has happened is, ice, which is the solid state of matter, on heating, it turns into water, which is the liquid state of matter. And water, which is the liquid state of matter, on heating, turns into water vapor or steam, which is the gaseous state of matter. Likewise, the gaseous state of matter, that is steam or water vapor, as it is cooled, it turns into water. Water is the liquid state of matter. Likewise, water on cooling, it turns into ice, which is the solid state of matter. So here we see that there is a change in states of matter that is happening here. So this change of state of matter from one state to another and then back to its original state is called interconversion of matter. So now we have seen that there is a change in state of ice from solid state to liquid state, and again on heating from liquid state to gaseous state. And this gaseous state on cooling, it turns back into liquid state, and liquid state on cooling again, it turns back into the original solid state. So I repeat again, this change of state of matter from one state to another and then back to its original state is called interconversion of matter. Now, let us see what are the processes that are involved during this change of states of matter. Now, look into this picture carefully. As we have already seen, ice on heating, it turns into water. Or in other words, solid on heating has turned into liquid state. So this process of conversion of solid into liquid on heating is called the process of melting. Now, can you think of what happens as we heat water? We all know that water, as it is heated, steam starts coming out, as you see here in this picture. So this is nothing but water vapors. So here we see that as water is heated, the liquid state has now changed into gaseous state. So this process of conversion of liquid into gas on heating is called evaporation, or otherwise called vaporization. Now look into this picture here. What do you observe? We see that as water is heated or as water starts boiling, we see steam or water vapor coming out of this boiling pot. This is nothing but the process of evaporation. As you see here, as water boils, it turns into water vapor, and it is this water vapor that comes out in the form of steam that you see here in this picture. So this process is called evaporation. Now, can you think of what happens when you close this boiling pot with a lid? It is observed that after some time we see droplets of water that are sticking on this lid, as you see here in this picture. This is because this water vapor or steam, as it touches this lid, it gets cooled and then it turns back into water. So this is nothing but conversion of gas or vapor into liquid on cooling. So this process of conversion of gas or vapor into liquid on cooling is called condensation. So this is nothing but condensation that is happening here. That is why we see droplets of water here on the lid. And as liquid is cooled, we all know that it turns into solid. So when water is cooled, it turns into ice. So this conversion of liquid into solid on cooling is called the process of freezing. Remember that melting and vaporization are two processes which involve heating, while condensation and freezing, as we have seen here, are two processes which involve cooling. As we all know, as ice is heated, it melts and it turns into water. We note that only when ice reaches a certain temperature, it melts and it changes into water. So there is a fixed or a constant temperature at which ice melts and it turns into water. So this fixed or constant temperature at which a solid melts into liquid is called its melting point. Here in case of ice starts melting only at a fixed temperature. So the temperature at which ice starts melting is the melting point of ice, and the melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius, which means only when it reaches 0 degrees Celsius, ice starts melting and slowly it changes into water. Same like that, only when water reaches a certain temperature, it starts boiling. Or in other words, there is a fixed or constant temperature at which water starts boiling. So this constant or fixed temperature at which a liquid starts boiling is called its boiling point. The temperature at which water starts boiling is the boiling point of water. And boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius, which means when water reaches 100 degrees Celsius, it starts to boil. Now, let's quickly have a look at an experiment which helps us to understand that intermolecular spaces are occupied. In order to do that, let's take a beaker that is filled with pebbles, as you see here in this picture. Now, what do you think will happen when you add crystals of sugar into this beaker? As we add crystals of sugar into this beaker that is filled with pebbles, we observe that finally after adding, the crystals of sugar will go and sit into the intermolecular spaces that are present here in between these pebbles. Or in other words, since these particles of sugar are small, they go and occupy the intermolecular space. Same like that, when you add sand, it is the same thing that happens. These sand particles that are smaller, it goes and it occupies the intermolecular space, or the space that is existing between these pebbles. So from this experiment, we conclude that intermolecular spaces exist between particles, and these intermolecular spaces can be occupied easily.